We are there, and we share with you also in our other projects. I believe some of you have gotten an invitation to a dinner we are hosting. Glad that you could be able to participate. Some of you will also get an invitation to attend a trade fair that we are also participating in. Glad that you will be able to participate. And going forward in the year, we intend to collaborate in most of our activities together, so that you are not just going to ring fence you within IIA, but also try to see what synergies can we draw with other activities we are conducting within the program, but also other activities that are ongoing with our other colleagues in sister projects. So we are glad to see and to witness the kickoff for this traceability workshop. I would have loved to come, and my colleagues also, we were always excited to come and share with you the day-to-day. Looks like a very beautiful room you are in, but not possible because on Friday, for some of our colleagues were exposed with COVID and they tested positive over the weekend. And therefore, the best thing in this circumstance is to take precaution and not to spread what we might not know whether we have or we do not have. However, we join you in the spirit, we join you virtually, and I will still stay on for some time if Terry allows me, and see where we can support you. If you might need any further support from GIZ, please feel free to communicate to the Invest in Africa team, and that will be channeled to us. Thank you very much, Terry. I didn't prepare much of a speech anyway.
Thank you very much, Moses. I think we are all delighted that you could join us, albeit virtually, right? Okay, thanks. So
Yes,
here in Germany,
my colleague Yvonne was trying to come in, and I think she has connectivity trouble. So maybe if she comes in, she could say hi, and then we continue.
okay, thank you very much. In Germany or still when they appreciate people, they knock on the table. So thank you very much, Moses. Delighted that you could join us. I'd like to very briefly present to you the Invest in Africa team. As I said, I'm Terry Kinywa, joined by Frank Mwema, who takes care of our IT. So you'll be with us through the day because you'll see there's an aspect that you're going to do a bit practically and you may need any support digitally. We are joined by Lim Hazel. I'm sure many of you have heard from Lim. She's under the SME engagement team, which is led by Felista Sand, who is also our project coordinator, and I'm sure many of you have met her so far. So I'd like to, at this point, to pass the mic over to my colleague, Dr. Guy, and he will introduce himself and his team.
Yes, good morning. My name is Gerd Meyer from Antea Africa. We are working with GIZ since many years, and we are working with, or my passion over the last years is working with East African agribusinesses. So I'm very happy to join you. I have some bilateral talks. You know, in Germany, men, they don't use natural cosmetics. It's a failure, that's what I've learned. Yeah, so I said, what I missed the last 20 years. So I'm really excited about the topic of production of natural cosmetics, and I'm very glad I have the possibility to talk to you about transparency, but also about clustering. And without going into details, we can argue there are a lot of competitors. But on the other side, the markets are so big that there's room for all of us. And what we already did, and we will go into future in detail soon, is you all have the same issues. So the challenge for us is, or our challenge is, how we can help you as a bit of competitor to solve all the same problems. So I'm not alone. I have my colleague Jon Goriop with me. He's a transparency expert, and I'm really delighted to further continue with you. And I'm happy, Terry, thanks that we are not so many, so we can much better interact as if the room is full. Moses, thanks for giving us a chance as well, and I'm happy at least to see you virtually again. So that is my short introduction, more to come soon. Today we talk about transparency, but also about this clustering topic. You might have heard here, this is a nice roll-up from Invest in Africa, and the project calls Upscaling Manufacturing SMEs in Natural Product Clusters. So that means we will also discuss today, later on, a bit the magic word of clustering. Sounds a bit strange, but we would like to shed a bit of shed a bit of light to also show that this approach within Western Africa is a bit different than many other training initiatives before. So, I have two objectives with you. Introduce you the topic of transparency, but also discuss with you what additional activities we can implement over the course of the next months. Terry, the project will last until August, I guess?
Yes.
So that means we have still enough time. We are at the very beginning, and I would like to achieve with you a certain kind of action plan, what we can do or what in Western Africa can do with the support of Moses in this regard. Is it okay? So please interact, challenge me, and let's have an intensive discussion. My question is, I prepared a small presentation. Can we use it without pushing out Moses? This is what I don't want to do. So if you advise me how to do it in a soft way, that Moses is not angry of me, then I'm very happy about this. I mean, if you're losing Moses, okay, it is a pity, but he heard this presentation several times. I guess next time you can do it instead of me. So if we lose him, it's a personal issue, but he will not miss much. Moses, is it something we can agree upon?
Yes,
Good.
fully, yes, especially the part where I'm facilitating next time.
Okay, great. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, so transparency. My question is, yes, transparency. First of all, who John and we are part of Antea Africa, which is a company based in Nairobi. We vote for transparency, working with nature ingredients providers like you. That's the reason we are very happy. Always very happy to come from Europe. You don't have COVID. You are not concerned about the Ukraine crisis. We have always nice weather. So basically, no, tell the truth, it's serious. Yeah? The war is far away. It really bothers us in Europe. You never get used of war. If you're a European one, you get used to have 30, 40 years of no crisis. So as an African, you better get used to crisis. Yeah? So my daughter, she's 30 years old. She's absolutely nervous because she never discovered a crisis. So you are better prepared. You don't have COVID and all these good reasons to come back and talk about the very cool topic of transparency. And so I'm very happy having the chance. Let me start first to ask you why people buy your product. Can you give me one or two reasons why people buy your product?
You want something that's good for your skin and smells good.
Okay, good. Why people buy your product?
The story behind it, so that when you buy one of our products, it's only an entrepreneur and we can show you exactly where your payment goes into their life.
Okay. Why people buy your product?
Because we are solving a problem.
So what?
Because we are solving a problem.
Which type of problem?
Natural hair ingredients that we want.
Good. So your answer and your answer is a bit different. You said your products are doing something good for the community. But you're right. You said you're solving my problem. You said you're solving my problem as well. So basically I have a question, shall I buy your product or shall I buy your product? Sorry to make it a bit easy. I know there's a big difference between your product, but please apologize as a man and as someone who doesn't have any. So what I meant is you have to succeed. Why Moringa? I love Moringa. Fall in love with Moringa 2 years before. So why people buy your product? Why? Good question. I didn't buy this answer, but this answer is very helpful. Last question. Why people buy your product?
Because they trust it, and we try to solve the problem that they have.
Okay, good. So the question in the end is, since it's a big market, but if I'm in the shop, shall I buy your product, or your product? Or shall I buy your product because you said I do something good for the community? I'm sure you do it as well, right?
Yes.
But you didn't communicate. You do it as well, right? And you as well. So now we start, what is the best argument to convince me as a buyer to sell, to buy your product? I'm happy that nobody talked about the price. I'm very happy because that is an argument I don't like. So, okay, that means we are targeting, our products are compete not because of the price, they are compete because of problem solving. To what extent, what kind of experience with transparency? Transparency means that you can disclose everything from the first step, from the farmer, basically until your product. This is transparency. That means you basically, in the ideal case, you know where your product is coming from, you know what are the farmers, you know what happened between harvesting and it reached to your factory. This is the ideal case of transparency. So we talked about in the primary meeting. So what is your experience with transparency? Is this a topic for you, and to what extent that I'm a transparency expert? Challenge me, or I've never heard about, or somewhere in between. So what's your experience in the field of transparency?
Okay, like when I set out to do my product, I wanted to make an action, and it was important for me to make sure that the sources of my raw material are known and they are legitimate, they are whatever, national and so on. So I looked for suppliers, producers actually, who have got proper systems in place, and then who contract farmers to go certain halves, and I can trace everything.
Okay, great. Perfect. Your buyers, did they ever ask you where your product is precisely coming from? They didn't ask?
No.
Any reason? Was it never a topic?
No.
Okay. When you go home, it should be a topic. So what about your, I hope I didn't overlook, so what about this transparency? Did your buyers ask where's the product coming from, who is involved?
Yeah, I can give them the names of everyone involved in the.
But they ask?
Yeah.
Sometimes or always, so how important or what is your experience? Is it an increasing topic, or some people just asking, like me, where it is coming from, or is it a major concern for your clients?
Increasing.
It is. And for your clients?
My clients, mostly we are suppliers,
Mm-hmm.
and they know we grow.
Mm-hmm.
So they come and learn from us, and they will have a history of us.
They want to see it. They want to see. Okay, good. Okay, so let's ask, how important is transparency for your future business on a scale from 1 to 5? 1 extremely important, 1 unimportant. I will not send someone home who says 1. Okay, so don't be afraid. So between 1 and 5, how important you believe is transparency for your future business?
Very important.
4 or 5, something like that? 5.
I'll say 4.
4.
5.
You say you are from the same company, right?
Yes.
So I hope that you always have the same opinion.
Yes.
5? 4? 5? And you, madam?
5.
5. Okay, good. So that means it is an topic, and I will tell you why it's another important topic. Is in Europe we will implement the so-called value chain law. Have you ever heard about? Europeans are sometimes special. There's a value chain law. You might have heard it with the issue with the textile. You know that poor people in Bangladesh and China and whatever, they are squeezed in inappropriate working conditions, and we pay a lot of money, and the people are misused. So that means this bothered us a lot in Europe. There will be a law. If I sell a product from Yon, African, and something goes wrong, for example, it comes out that he is using child work, or he is contributing to deforestation, whatever, I'm guilty, not he. I can go back to him and put him on court, but I'm guilty according to European law. Forget about certificates, forget every contract, I am blamed. That means there's a new pressure coming from us in Europe that we should know a lot about your product. We don't want to know how much you pay for the farmers, and we don't want to know how much you pay for transport. But we have to be sure that we know more or less everything we need to be sure that we didn't do something wrong. Let's say that way. That means also in the future, if you want to export, people will ask you to be on the safe side. You want to make evidence that nothing went wrong. So that means there's an increasing pressure or demand for transparency. So I can say so far it is your business to be transparent, which is fine, but in the future it will be even more important that we are ready to show transparency. That's especially in the product as you have, where people are ready to pay a bit more. And if I pay moringa oil, I want to have a bit this good feeling of working with farmers and smelling Kenya, or with shea butter, smelling the West Nile area. So as a consumer, I'm happy, I'm ready to buy more if I know where the product is coming from. And I make sure, for example, that money I put you on your table is going for social activities or whatever. So that means this is a topic which becomes more important. That's the reason when I talk to Terry, let's put this as one of the key messages at the beginning, beside of the Biashara platform, in the focus. Okay, to make you fully prepared. And again, even if you compete, you have the same challenges. That's the reason why this clustering makes sense, because we don't need to go to you and to you, next time to you. We can discuss in a common way. And then we might even exchange during the network what is your experience with transparency and so on. So, yes, however, as a business, to be honest, and I'm running a business of 800 employees, I don't want to be transparent. Basically, I don't want. As more as you're transparent, as more people can take a look at what you're doing. So my question is, yes, we always said transparency is important. Do you have any concerns about transparency? Is there anything you said, yeah, it's fine and it's important, but So does have anyone an idea, or from business, that there are some concerns to be transparent? For example, you were digging. Do you have any concerns about being transparent as you might need?
Yes.
You can speak up.
Because that means you have to like tell everyone all the ingredients that you're using in the product. Yeah.
Okay, the ingredients, not called ingredients, is your
Formulation and
yeah, I know what it is, but this is your main, what you call it, asset you have.
yes.
Okay. You were digging as well. You say
where you source them from. Because if you have to sell, I think ingredients you can view, it's clear, but where you source them from. So someone can use that to back, to create your product again, if they can figure out.
Oh, that means if I know where your raw material is coming from, I can copy and paste. Okay. Okay. Good point. Concerns from your side? I want to collect to discuss this, because it is very important that we have to make sure, is this a concern which is feasible, or whether it is in our mind and we can deal with it. That's the reason why I'm happy if we can collect.
I don't think it's a concern for me, because if I control the production process, it's not a cost to me to share that information, at least not at this point.
Okay. We have a new, not kid on the block, guest. Happy that you join us. We want to introduce ourselves very brief, your company, and especially what kind of product you.
My name is, sorry.
Yeah, it's good.
Betu Karaka. I am the owner of Internationals. Sorry for the previous. We had a death in the family last night, so I am not carrying any production and anything. Yes.
Okay. Good. Happy to be here, and please, I'm talking to each of us. If you feel uncomfortable for whatever, just make sure. Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. Sometimes as a German, I need a clear sign. Okay. Okay. We just talk about concerns about transparency. Before you came, we agreed that transparency is very important, and we just discussed. Okay, it's important, but what are major potential concerns? Do you have any concerns about transparency?
I don't.
No. Okay. What's about you?
For me, I don't think for now it's a challenge. Actually, I like sharing because I'm guaranteeing quality. So whoever wants to produce a product from a raw material, I really encourage.
Okay.
Because I'm guaranteeing quality that you're going to offer quality products.
Okay. Good. Any concerns about to being too transparent? Do you have any concerns, or would you say I don't have any concerns?
No, I have. It's good to produce the policy that we want to exist.
Please, what kind of concerns come in your mind?
That someone will evidently, it has happened to my products, someone will look at the ingredients.
Ingredients.
Yeah, when you declare everything there, and then they go and do the same formulation.
Okay, got you.
And the other one is where you're sourcing with your raw materials. Yeah,
Okay.
that has been a challenge.
Okay, good. Thanks for bringing it up. Let's now ask Jon, our transparency expert, how would you recommend to deal with these both concerns? Let's talk about the formula. Of course, that is something which is a main asset. So, Jon, how we can deal with that?
So on the sourcing part?
No, first the formula. This is more difficult than the sourcing. Let's.
Well, I think that here it really comes down to the fact that if your products are 100% natural and with very few ingredients, it is, either you use the information you have to leverage as a benefit for your company and disclosing it and benefit from it as a business, or try to hide it, but anyhow it is maybe stated on your packaging that it's shea butter mixed with maybe moringa inside of it. So the formulation, to go backwards, is not your key advantage in the market. Your key advantage in the market is the brand that you are creating. Your key advantage in the market is the customer relationships that you have. So I think that transparency helps you to build those relationships, helps you to build a brand and the trustworthiness in your product, more than it can have the damage on the fact that somebody can reproduce. Because if they want to reproduce the formulations, they will find a way to do it either way. Either you are leveraging transparency to build a brand, or you are not. They will figure out a way to do it. And I think that here is where you have to strike the balance in terms of what you are ready to disclose. Of course, that it's not a standardized way that if you do not feel comfortable to disclose the exact formulations, of course you do not have to. You do not have to disclose what are the quantities of each that combine your final product, but as long as you're willing to share and say, okay, my product is mostly shea butter, moringa, coconut, that is something that can help your business grow.
Or, to add what he said, is we didn't talk about to whom we want to be transparent. Because you can be transparent to the buyer, and you can be transparent to the consumer. Me as a consumer, if you tell me there's shea butter from Ghana and from Uganda, it's enough for me. I don't want it anymore. Okay? So that means there's no need, as Jon said, we need some buzzword. Moringa, avocado, that was the consumer. The consumer don't know what we said. Might be the buyer want to be transparent. So that means we have to discuss also how transparent we want to the consumer and how transparent we want to the buyer. And with the buyer, you have options. You have an NDA. You can also send them some testing certificate. You get, as Jon said, you can be transparent to a certain amount, meaning you should remain in the control how transparent we want to be, and do we want to be transparent to the consumers or to the buyers? And there are two different strategies. Okay, that is the point. So the second one is from the source. Did you raise your hand, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. Somebody was talking about like people knowing where you got your raw materials from. At what point are you exposing that? Because it comes to a label.
No, it's not on the label. What happened is, I can give a personal example. We've had competitors that come in with us, so we buy as consumers. Then they keep on calling and asking myriad of questions to try and figure out exactly who your supplier is. So they'll read of us a certain text, so they'll be like, where did you get that? Where did you get the shake? That. So that's when we figured out what was going on. Your normal buyers, of course, will not ask. That's what you said. They'll say, oh, you said shea butter, you said. But then when we got competitors or people trying to create the product, that's when, because they kept on trying and kept on failing. So now they tried getting to me, to the sales girls, to people trying to figure out where the raw materials came from. Or who's selling us the raw materials.
Another follow-up to what you say about transparency. I wanted to really find out, you said to a certain degree we can disclose, and I'm looking at our products and what we do on the labels. At times we have maybe 2 or 3 ingredients we put in a certain product. We have to disclose everything that we put in the product so that we avoid people who is a copy of what they're doing, or we have to just incorporate the main ones.
I would say just the main.
Just the main.
Just what is the selling proposition. You know?
Yes.
Like in your cosmetics, maybe you use some sort of binding agents or some sort of ingredients that are not something that you put in the name. You know? For you, it's maybe the shea butter that's the most important. So disclose information about the key ingredients that are helping you sell.
Just to follow up, yeah, please go.
Sorry, and then it's also important to, if you've got an ingredient, to which people react.
Yes.
Like nuts or whatever, and if you have to.
Yes, exactly.
So, I will give another example from a bit more men perspective. Motor oil. I'm coming from originally my former life, when I was as young as some of you, I was dealing with friction wear when it comes to lubricants. And lubricants are exactly the same. It has to work, and I want to keep disclose. I don't want to disclose because I have some magic part in it. I guess it is exactly the same. To some buyer, to some professional buyers, I have to disclose a lot what is in. For the consumer, I have to come up with some dashboard. And I guess that is exactly what we are looking for. And since you have a close communication to your buyers, you want to know what is in. And what we discover in Europe is very often that not young kids, the main client group, after a couple of years, they want to have something fancy. They want to have the same behavior, but sometimes after a couple of while, they are buzzed with shea butter. It's not cool anymore. I want to have something else. So that means you can just add a bit, as Jon said, as a brand, that people have to think, oh, this is also in, I don't care, is it 5%, 20%, whatever, so to keep it. So let's take home is, you should have a certain kind of transparency strategy. How much you want to disclose and to whom. And then you are pretty much under control. So I guess that is something which we can take home. I've also concerned that people are concerned about patents or whatever. Transparency, again, doesn't mean you are absolutely transparent. Yeah, transparent doesn't mean you know how much I pay to the farmer. This is something you should never disclose. Never. Only if it's really needed. So managing expectation of transparency, that's exactly what we have to do. Okay? So it means that people have the feeling, I know everything I want to know. That is very important, and that's the reason why I'm happy that some of you have concerns. So that means let's deal with them and let's take them out. Okay?
And I would just like to add, for the part on the sourcing of the raw materials, it's basically the same. It's you have to choose what you disclose in terms of it. Maybe you do not disclose if you're buying from a certain supplier. Then is this a competitive advantage for you as a company that you have access to this supplier? Is this really the case? Because if this is not, this supplier can sell to whoever they want at the end of the day. So it's about, is this something that is competitive advantage, you're working with this specific supplier, or is it a competitive advantage for you in the market that you know where the product is coming from, regardless of which supplier it is, and that it's your advantage to communicate that? Okay? Yeah, so here is it.
Okay, and over the course of the Invest in Africa project, you might come up with some more individual or more group coaching, shea butter, whatever. We can a bit go into details. What transparency strategy is the best of its best to you? This is one of the typical supply chains. You have input suppliers, farmers, traders. So who of you know everything about your supply chain? That means who of you knows the farmers, whether you have traders or direct sourcing, and who of you know more or less everything about the supply chain? You know?
You make it a bit like.
Good point. Let me go. So you see, I was not very transparent where this slide is coming from. I have to improve as well. Okay, so is it no better? So that means my question is, it's very important for transparency that we know everything about our supply chain. Until you sell, that means, do you have commercial fertilizer? What about your farmers? What happens between the farm until the product raw material reach your premises? So that is also very important as a first step. Do I know everything, regardless whether I want to disclose or not? Someone said who are working with traders. Someone said you are working with traders. Traders is tricky because you cannot really trace back. So that means one of the first steps could be, if you want to become more transparent, try to get rid of traders and try to get access direct to farmers or communities or whatever. Because here your transparency will always fail because you don't know where, or often don't know where the traders are getting the product from, and that might be a bit messy. For example, I talked to someone in Sheerbat, was it you?
What if the trader I'm working with works with the farmer? They work with a certain farm community.
Good point. So basically, if this trader works with a certain number of farmers, it's not bad at all. Because you said, okay, Jon is my trader and Jon works with farmer Gerd and so on. Sometimes we have traders who mix everything together. Then it becomes messy. Okay, that means yes, we have to distinguish, do we know the traders? Do we know where they're sourcing from? Then fine. If you get this as a black box, you might have an issue. Or you know that here you cannot be transparent and you never know what's coming up here. Okay, so that might be for you an issue. And of course, so that means the first step on the way to be more transparent, please check, do you know everything? Are you convinced about everything? And then, can you really trace back? At least for your internal purposes.
One thing that I would like to add is that it's simply because, it's all about, in the end, it's the quality of the product. And if you do not know where it's coming from, it's very difficult for you to control the quality of the inputs that you are getting. So the shorter the supply chain to the farm level, the more control you have over the quality. So for example, if you are working directly with the farmers, then you have systems in place that guarantee certain quality of the outputs that you then sell. But if you're buying from a trader that mixes from 10 different aggregators, you never know the quality, it's unreliable.
I will give you, please.
Just on the previous slide.
Yes, sorry.
In the event that you have, say, the trader, processor, wholesaler, retailer is literally the same individual working with farmers.
Yeah.
I feel like because that's my case where you're dealing with the person who sources it, supports the farmers, processes it, wholesales and retails it, and even value adds. That kind of creates, I feel like I'm always in a state of panic that if anything should happen to that particular individual, then there's a major risk to my business.
Perfect. Go ahead, I like it.
I'm dependent on this one person who does everything, but it's a good thing for me because it gives me wholesale prices at almost, gate prices. But it does create a risk because at the beginning of the pandemic, when we are all
come to the club. Yeah.
It's like you sit on your hands and you wait for them to say whether or not they are sending, whether they are sending through God knows what kind of systems.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes on a lorry, sometimes it comes, someone has to walk it over the border. Like there's so many factors. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a question in there, but it's definitely I felt like that was a big risk to my business.
This is a major concern in Europe. Okay, because basically in Europe, and it moves a bit away from the agriculture. If you have a perfectly optimized supply chain, we talk about just-in-time supply and so on, you struggle. So yes, it is a major risk, and it is not really connected to transparency. However, if you might work with different sources exactly to avoid. You can say, okay, I work with Yon, and I work with Gerd, so sometimes I get my raw material from Yon, sometimes I get it from Gerd, so there's not such much major risk. However, you have to trace back to both of us. So that means, yes, it is another topic I strongly recommend that you build up a second source. And as long as you have time, a second reliable source. Because we don't know what kind of supply chain interruption will come. Yeah, you might have issue with your neighbors in Tanzania or Uganda, and then you face exactly this risk, and this risk can, this challenge can risk your business. So that is another recommendation, that you have 2 or 3 sources which you can trace back, and if you have several sources, it has to trace back, especially to the batch of your products. Okay? So that we are not talking about theory. This example, you know Tesco, you know Sainsbury, I guess you have heard about these big brands. And what happens? They are selling very tasty avocado. I don't know where this is coming from. Yes, might be. Do you know this case, where it came from? Okay, so, but don't be too transparent. So we can talk during the tea break. So, yes, and what came out is, it came out that these retailers sourced from someone who didn't obey food safety, human rights, environmental sustainability. The biggest damage was given to Tesco and to Sainsbury, and Lidl is a German one. Nobody talked about the supplier who really made the mess. The biggest economic damage was given to Tesco, Sainsbury. People did not buy any avocado anymore because there was always a suspicion they don't treat people right. And Tesco and Sainsbury were not able to fully trace back where the avocado has been produced. They just relied on some certificates, but that's it. And then what I meant is, here, no certificate helps. You should be able to trace back. And tell me, and believe me, if you want to cheat, you are not traceable. Then you have to be too perfect. Okay, that means if you, for example, disclose, these are my farmers, I could go everywhere and anytime and ask. That means as more transparent you appear, as more trustful you are. Believe me, this, and we don't talk about evidence or whatever. So it is a major concern, and you can imagine if you put moringa oil on your skin and something happens, you never know, might be there's pesticide in, because we don't know where the moringa comes from. Yeah? You don't know, for example, we have a case in Uganda, some companies moringa oil, on the neighbor field, they used pesticides. Of course, it came over. Luckily, the producer was able to trace back and were able to prevent some pesticides, however you call it, product. So this is a major topic we have to deal with. Yeah, so after this interaction, let's talk about what is why transparency is important. We did this, how to achieve opportunities. In the end, I want you to go home and not with a feeling, oh, transparency is the next burden I have. Rather than go home, say transparency will help me to be more competitive. That is my objective. If you don't go home that way, Terry can send me home, then I didn't make my job. If you said, yes, transparency, I have to spend a little effort, but it gives me a competitive advantage, then Jon and me, we are happy to return. Okay, that is our ambitious goal, and please challenge us in this regard. I don't know whether you know this company. It's a Kenyan company. They produce dried fruits. You know them? Perfect. You know the owner, Yvonne?
Yeah.
Shall we trust them? They introduced a transparency system as one of the first Kenyan dry fruit producers. They were able to trace back to the farmers. And since then, they are booming. If you talk to Yvonne, and might be meet them in the afternoon, she got new clients in Europe because there was a pitch. You pitched for 10 tons of dried banana, similar price. You were able to trace back, so these are my farmers in that area. I can show you that 10% of my money goes back to send kids of farmers to school. You have good bananas, we have good bananas. Me as a buyer, I take this one. Same product, same quality, same origin. You did the same, but you were not able or prepared to present. She was able, and she got it. That means if you meet Yvonne, and she will tell you the reality, and that's not a commercial activity from me. She succeeded by being transparent. She's full control. She's never said how much she pays, but she has a story and she is able to communicate. How we can discuss later, but she's able, if she goes on a trade fair, says this it is. You know, certificates are nothing special, it's just mandatory, but she was able to communicate. And since then, she is growing and exporting to Europe just because she was one of the first to communicate properly. Second one, Uganda, Pelera. They produce shea butter. Same story. They used from refugee hosting camps in the Arua. They were able she was able to trace back. She always gives some money she earns to the farmers that they can send kids to school. The same topics. She was on trade fairs. She was able to present. Others not. She got contracts in Europe and Ethiopia. That means what we are talking about is not just for Europe, it is of all concerns. Tanzania, Zambia, whatever. Okay? So two small companies, nature ingredients producers, which were able to distinguish. And I'm coming back to the first question. Why should I buy your product? Why should I buy your product? You can show me where it is coming from. Yeah, yours is nice, or his is nice. So that is the reason why we said okay, because they all have, as you advantages, social behavior, might be something against deforestation, environmental friendly. We all have it in our minds, but we were not able to communicate with our buyers. It's not enough to put it on the website, because nobody checks websites. I mean, me as an elderly people, yes, but you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have whatever, it's on your mobile. So what is also important is, we will not go into details today, but we also have to discuss, okay, if we have common sense that we want to communicate transparency, we have to discuss how to do best. Yeah, it's not enough to have it at home in your drawer, it might be not right on the website. So how we can find a solution that buyers, commercial or private buyers, get this information on the spot. Okay, but this comes a bit later.
My question is, where do you draw the line between giving back and using it as a marketing gimmick? Because the truth of the matter is that we all have causes we support. But sometimes you support those causes because of personal experiences, because of what you've been through, your family, your social experience. By taking that and now making it, like you say, if you're giving back to the community in a certain way. And like, where do we draw the line between just supporting a cause and using it as a marketing?
You can disagree with me, by my perspective, you should know your clients. Is this something of interest? Are clients interested to have the feeling that they buy a product from a company who's doing good for the community? Is this a reason or not? If this is a reason, you have to put it on, you should use it as an active tool. For example, in Europe, we have one dishwasher company, one company who is selling detergents, okay? Their main reason is, we produce these detergents naturally, locally. Nothing else. That is their slogan, and they are selling like crazy because people have the feeling, yes, I want to buy something which comes around the corner. That is one of the main marketing instruments. We don't care about what is in. The marketing is, it is natural and it comes around the corner. Did I answer your question correctly? So that means we have to build, and that's the reason why, of course, you talk to your clients, which is not the topic today, what they are interested in. And then what might be your buyers are interested in. So that is something which we have to understand. And of course, it's different whether you sell dried banana or whether you sell avocado oil.
Here, I would just like to add also that it's you're concerned that you utilize the cause for marketing too much, but like if commercial success that you have as a result of it can further support the cause, I think that this is where you can then strike the balance. You know? If you are now able to grow your company, which means that you can support even more people with the cause or whatever cause you are having, then I think that this is something that you need to take into consideration.
I think it's also a cultural difference. For us, we feel like it's very disingenuous, to be honest, right? We feel like, why do I mean, by even buying these products, I am helping my community. And I also help my community in other things. But I never use that in marketing. I really don't. And that's what I'm saying. It's good to learn for this and learn from different. But our perception culturally, I think for most of us is like, wow, I'm kind of using, bragging and I'm using.
Wait, that's what you said. I would say, I'm happy that this is the standard in your country. In Europe, it's entirely new. We have the feeling, Africa is doing bad and so on. It's a wrong perception, don't take me wrong. But for us in Europe, since we are too lazy to do something in your country, at least, we said, we have to do something good, and said, then go down and help the refugees there, the poor people. This is no. That means this is a topic which matters in Europe. Yeah, the same like in America. Might be in America it's not so much because community is always the same. In Europe we were very selfish for many years. Now the young generation is coming. Yes, this becomes a purchasing argument. So that means we also have to see for where are our buyers. Not to bother some buyers with something. Come on, don't bother me with that. Okay. So that means also to understand what are the expectations of my buyers.
We have like each other. We have, so I would not say like for the Kenyan market, we would never use that.
Good.
But for the international market, we'll have that.
Okay, let's finish. She understood. Terry, can we again go to lunch? No. Perfect. Absolutely perfectly summarized. Okay, we have to understand for which market and who's our client group. Well said. Another topic is what product we shall buy to cope deforestation. Which product we have here is a product which helps us best to cope against deforestation. Shea butter. Because as more shea butter you buy, as less shea trees are cut for shackle. And I was in these areas and my heart is bleeding if you see a cut shea butter tree. And if you talk to people, you can say with one season of shea butter, you get $150 every year. If you cut your tree, you get $150 once for shea coal. Yes, and then you can talk to the rural people, and as more shea butter we buy, as less trees are cut. And that can be also, because we in Europe, we are sitting in our green woods. What a pity in Uganda, they cut trees. How we can help? Buy shea butter. It can be a story. So, and nobody of the spoiled European knows that you can contribute against deforestation buying natural products. So, in 2021, one of the biggest trends was transparency, especially, as I said, in your healthy, sustainable products. Quality doesn't really matter anymore. We want to know what is in, to a certain extent, and where it's coming from. These are purchasing arguments. You look serious. You disagree with me on? Then raise your voice.
The quality, I think, is still like the key, but it's about not just the quality.
Okay, for me as a buyer, I want to buy avocado oil for my wife. How can I know whether your avocado oil is better than yours? Of course, I can buy the higher price, but it doesn't mean anything. So that means quality, yes, but sometimes quality is very subjective, and I don't know the quality. So if there's something that, they're doing good for the community, so might be I can sell this as an argument to my wife, even if I bought the wrong product. So, darling, yes, it's the wrong product, but we do something good for the community. That means it matters a bit. So it is in more and more, it is for fruit, it's for nature ingredients, this trend will increase, and I'm sure even in your countries, where have a younger generation, where people have more money, they want to really know more about what's in. So, transparency, yes, trust, sustainability, long-term growth, leadership, yeah? And we discussed about that already. It is a strategy and can be embedded in your marketing strategy, and might be next time you can say, yes, my clients buy the product because they know the origin, they know that I'm doing good something for you and whatever. So I guess this can be done in a proper communication strategy. Or discuss this, there's an increasing pressure from the international consumers. I told you that because of the value chain law, they have to know, so it puts some pressure on you, but on the other side, let's turn it around. If you're a first mover, you turn the pressure into a competitive advantage. The same like environmental protection, yeah, it's always a bit bothers us because environmental protection is expensive, but when we turn it into an added value, it can give you a real competitive advantage. We discussed about this as well. It is serious. There's another topic. Do you know Ferrero Küsschen? It's this chocolate with a hazelnut. Very popular. This company was almost bankrupt. Why? You know, Jim? What was the issue? The hazelnut came from Turkey. And the Turkish producer used child for picking the hazelnuts. For expensive product, you can imagine what kind of shitstorm this happened. It was just before Christmas, and these Ferrero Kisses are mainly given to partners about Christmas time. This company almost bankrupt because they didn't check, they're not able to transparent that this supplier used child work. And Europeans are really very sensitive. I mean, we all are very sensitive on this. So that means really, it can be even one of the first arguments for the pitch. I can trace back. Let's talk about something different, but this is my philosophy. If you're not interested, go to the next piece. This is my company strategy. And this is a nice study on, we discovered a while ago, companies and buyers. Hi, Lillian. Lillian is a colleague from Invest in Africa. You just want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Fine.
You'll excuse me for keeping African time.
Look, the most important people have the right to come late. She's a financial manager, so I guess after Terry, the most important person, so she's allowed to be a bit late. Okay, but thanks, Lillian. Happy that you joined us. Okay, companies buy it. Yeah, please.
I have an observation.
Yeah, please.
So this one of the series that the purchasing power in Europe and America, but for East or the sense of South Africa, like for the coming up and being between the having just a balance. So I'm trying to think, when will this apply here? Like you just said, people actually don't necessarily care that you got this from overall in Europe, but at what point do we have packaging for Europe, and then how do you translate the same information in a way that makes sense here?
You want to back? Yes, please. Yes, then we have a bit of time to answer.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to introduce you. Please, sorry. Introduce yourself and then please answer, raise the question.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Naftali from Share Africa. So I think towards that question, I remember when we were starting, the packaging was not that good. We go into that area, and people would say, hey, by doing the package is not good. But once you introduce something else that looks a bit fancy, your customers will tell you, hey, I think I'll choose that one because it's attractive more. So in essence, this might not work like right now, but starting it makes people want to now continue going into, like we'll say, I can see some improvement in terms of what this enterprise is doing with their products or with the people around them. I think that, in essence, the goal is to, yes, it may not work currently, but starting it will put you at a greater advantage in the years to come.
I would say that Gary has a lot of experience in Europe, but working here, I think that it's not just this highlight in Europe, it's not just that. What you're saying is very important. It's also, if you are targeting, let's say, a consumer group or a buyer group that is willing to pay more for the product, I think that this is where this comes in as a differentiation. And this is definitely a trend that we see here and also in the United States. There is product, there is market space for premium, there is market space for regular, and there is market space for some quality, like for a lower quality product at a cheaper and discount value. So I think that, again, it reverts back to who is your target group and going from there.
Oh, to be very clear, I'm far away to teach you what information you have to put in, because you know much better what your cleaning client or request. But just think back, say, okay, what can be cited? It is functions very well, it solves problems. Do you have any other argument you want to communicate with your clients which might differentiate you from others? Let us give me this. And what is the issue with this package? What is the major issue compared to, give me the other one. So what is the biggest issue between if you have this package and not this package? Size, exactly. Here you cannot put any information. Nothing. No space. They don't have glass like it. Here you can put a bit more space. Yeah, but this is, for example, this is the issue. So in the end, not today, in the future we'll discuss, okay, do we have digital tools which allow us that here I get the same information about this one right here. Okay, this is also a very important topic. Of course, both products are great. I didn't want to say something wrong. Yeah. So, but this is also the issue if you have different sizes, how to communicate it. Okay. Yes, please, and I like the idea. Go back and think what is of interest for your consumers and what is of interest for your potential buyers. It might be entirely different. Okay. Yeah, it's not a requirement, it is a business opportunity. And yes, what sounds easy in theory is not so easy. First of all, we will not do it today, but you have to understand that we can do it in the future or after the break if you want, that we make a certain kind of stress test. Do you really know everything or do you just imagine? Yeah. As I said, do you know all your actors in your supply chain? Yeah. Do you have all information handy? Even in your drawer. Yeah. That if someone comes, nice that you tell me, but do you have it? Yeah. For example, do you have social requirements somewhere in the paper or just in your mind, regardless of how displayed? Yeah. Do you have any issues like what you said? There's only one supplier, and then it comes to the point how to share. Yeah. I guess yes, most of them is already available. But I guess this has to be structured in a way that you can communicate in any case. Okay. So what does it mean? You have to work with the farmers. That is very, very, very clear. Do we have all documents? And again, certificates are important, but it's not the only feature. And let's move back to cars as men. Supplier from OEMs. Or OEMs are not interested in certificates really anymore. They go to the company, to the supplier, and have a real look. Do you really do what you pretend to do? It might be we know some very high level or high requirement buyer that said, okay, certificates are fine, but I want to know, I want to meet your farmers, I want to meet your traders, whatever, to be very, very sure. That's another kind of communicating transparency. Good. That's what we said as well. That is, we will not go into details, but there are options. Well, let's turn around. Who likes digital tools? Who consider digital tools as a burden? Who has experience with digital tools? Do you use any kind of digital tool besides Facebook and Instagram?
Not much.
Okay, not much. You? Not much? No. Yeah, we all have the feel you? Of course, everyone is good. Okay, yeah, so I like to say, yeah, it was a bit, I should do more. Thank you. This absolutely is the same. Yes, we should. I do a bit, I have a website, I'm digital, yeah, we have to do more. So that means during the next weeks or months, however, we have to discuss how we can turn this burden in something where say, oh, great, we have an added value on this. And that means how we can commute all these long stories we discussed today to our clients. We cannot send long letters. We cannot put it on the website. That means, yes, there are digital tools coming up, which helps us to bring everything what we have in our drawer in a way that we get the same information on the small package like on the big package. That is basically our key objectives. And we can, in the ideal case, if you change something, you have to change the package, right? Bad. If it comes from China, it takes months. It's expensive. Sometimes we might not want to change because it's expensive. Right? Digital tools, you change something in the back. Yeah, so that means, for example, I will show you how it could work. The ideal case is if we adapt some information, we don't need to change the package, we just need to change what is in the back. This is the ideal case. And then digital tools become fun. I don't need to change my product packaging, I can do it differently. Yeah? And since all our clients have devices, yeah, the ideal case is, I take my device, I want to know what is in. I scan, you know that we all, since COVID, yeah, we all have to scan everything. Yeah, I'm not interested in the COVID test, I'm interested in his product, so is there a possibility? I scan and I get the information. That is basically how digital tools make fun. And it really helps us to have a competitive advantage. So that means future training courses we offer in the frame of the Invest in Africa project is exactly to help you to bring all the information you might have in your mind on your drawer in a very, very professional way. That is how digitalization can really help. And yeah, how it works in the ideal case, the competitor, but yeah, for example, the QR code, you know, it's a perfect interface between the virtual world and the physical world. So it means once we have collected all the information, once we know how to present, let's put it here, whatever. If you're at a trade fair, if someone comes, oh, tell me about your product. Scan, then you know everything what you want. And then come back to me, we can further discuss. Yeah? And here with such a tool, you can disclose what kind of information you can decide what kind of information you want to disclose and what you keep for you. You can have different QR codes for buyers, commercial, for bulk buyers, and for private clients. And then you are in control of everything. And also here, I guess here you get the price for the tiniest packaging. Yeah, you can even put a QR code in this one. Yeah, no size is too little. Yeah. Or here, put it on the back, you have plenty of space, a bit of waste of space. Or moringa, even here you have space. So if you succeed to put a QR code here, it brings all the tasty information about where the product is coming from. And this is again, if Moses and Terry and Felister allows us to return, that we can discuss how we turn this awareness into practice. Okay, good. And you can put on your business card here, whatever. Who flew Rwandan Air recently? Did someone flew Rwandan Air recently? On your backside, there's a very good macadamia nut producer. On your backside, on your seat, You know, when it's boarding, when you don't know what to do, the cabin crew does not allow you to have your computer on. You have in front of you have a QR code. And everyone is scanning the QR code. Of course, unfortunately, it's not this kind of product rather than the company. But we are pretty sure that these will more and more come in the future. Good. Comments? Questions? Yes,
does
please.
the information have to be static? Or can it change?
You have to change. That is the beauty. You should be able to change. That's the requirement. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And that's the beauty is that you can use digital tools. You can change anything within a minute.
Means you can do seasonal promotions, discounts, and
You can even there's even some tools where you can put a batch number in, and then we talk about if you once became famous or counterfeiting. This is a topic which, of course, if your product is $100 per small package, then of course it matters. But this is always the possibility of modern digital tools. And what is the beauty in this? You don't need to be an IT expert. You don't need David for that. You can have it with your own possibilities. So that is also the requirement on modern tools. If you can deal with Facebook or Instagram, you have to deal with such as well. Okay.
Is this going to be part of the program?
Yes.
It's going to be part.
It will be part of the program, and if we come to the conclusion that transparency is a topic, and remember, Terry said we have 5 topics for good manufacturing, and transparency, traceability is a topic. And if you consider yes, it is worth. We have a team. There are many others, and we can teach you. You select what is the right tool, and there can be some teaching. It can be in a group. It can be individually. Within the Invest in Africa program, in the end, it is awareness today. But in the end, we want to provide hands-on support. That in the end, you say, yes, I learned, and I know how to use, and I know how to benefit.
And your presentation will also be quite interesting. It will be online?
I'm looking to my boss.
Actually, the session currently is virtual. So
you just record it so we can see that.
It's being recorded, so we just share it.
Okay.
Like all the other sessions we've had, they're always been recorded.
Let's say, since we are preaching transparency, I would say, great, but not my, you can send me home and say, forget about it. So I would appreciate if the major topic here slides are used to also sensitize might be your team, because it's important it should be supported by many of your team members, not just the boss, not just the marketing, but if you consider this to be of added value, I'm happy to share. Right? So my boss is nigging. You're nigging, he's smiling, so what can be better? So, okay, so I guess now we have, what is the time? Terry said something, we should have a break at around 10:30. We have 10:15. So, thank you.
We used to have a photo session.
Yeah, we have to put our, you can use some nice hair stuff, there's enough around. Might be, okay, we as a man, we don't need, so please.
I don't know why you keep on saying that. A quarter of our customers are men.
Yes, but they are African, not German. Yes, sorry.
I would like to beg to differ. A very large proportion of my male customers are not African.
They are younger than 50. Okay, I'm wrong.
And they buy secretly, right? Yes. They don't even want to be delivered home. Yes, they send the writers.
Okay, tell the truth at home, since I'm working. Okay, I will tell, I'm transparent, okay? At home, I have many natural, beautiful products from East Africa, from Kenya, and from Uganda. I'm using myself. I will not disclose. I don't dare to talk about. I don't dare to talk to my daughter about this. She said, "Daddy, you are too old for this." Yes, you're right. It is something which is for everyone, and might be also when you consider to enter the European market, we have might be some communication which is more attracting for men. Not be shy. Shall I use moringa oil? What was my neighbor saying about me in the community? If they You know this story.
You say you smell good and you're soft. That's what the neighbor will say.
Yeah. So you're right. Yeah, we are not front runner on this. I like the idea. What it means, we have to communicate in a way that is appealing for different target groups. Okay.
Just one.
Yes. Okay. I take something home that I have to be more self-confident. Thanks for being so clear to me. I take this home. Okay, so thanks a lot for this interactive session in the morning. I hope it was of interest, that we have a common sense. I learned a lot. Thanks for advising me as well. So if you are out, I will do some testing so that I feel smell nice. But now we have to move to the photo session, right? Yes. So it was up and...
Yes.
Good. I would say let's gather there in 5 minutes. Yeah? Perfect. Okay, thanks for making my life so easy this morning. 3 dots on his place. Does everyone have 3 dots? Okay, you do? Okay. So you know that I'm a bit older. I don't like this digital world. So let's go back to the analog world. And now we would like to talk about the topic of cluster development. That means how we can do something together to create more critical mass. And what I would like you to help me is, when we have more individual talks over the last weeks, you said there are 6 main challenges for you. Market access, packaging, quality certification, raw material supply, new products, access to finance. I left traceability out because we talked about this morning and you said you are very much interested. So what I would like from you, and that's the reason you have 3 dots, that you come in front with your dots and tell us what of these challenges is most relevant for your business. Is it market access? Is it that you don't have a proper packaging? That you struggle with quality and certification? That you might have challenges with good raw material supply? Or that you say, I need new products, but I don't know how? Or whether access to finance is an issue? So you have 3 dots. Those of you who mainly produce shea butter, please put your dots here. Those who mainly produce moringa, please put here. Those with avocado, put here. And with something else, I was not creative, put here. You can put all 3 points on one, or what you can dispatch. I would like just to have a voting what you believe is most relevant for you. Is it okay? So please, after another, come here. This is not allowed. Please help me to be the board more sectorial. But you can put here 3 here, 2, whatever. Or before you go, is there something which you consider is absolutely missing when it comes to challenges? So, market access, packaging, quality certification, raw material, new products, access to finance. Is there any other challenge which has a high impact on your business which is not mentioned here?
How do you say consistent?
Consistent supply would be here. Thank you. Consistent, I will add. It's like for 30 years when we went to school, right? I like this table. It brings good memories back. I added. Okay, who want to volunteer? We have someone virtual. Okay. It is Joe Kemp. Do you want to introduce yourself? Okay, it doesn't matter. Please come if he or she, Joe, if you want to show up and demute and introduce yourself, you're most welcome. We can proceed with this old-fashioned analog voting. I will stay in front of her that nobody see what she is putting there. My broad shoulder will protect. Not really, that's not enough. It should be on, I guess it would be better. Okay, thanks a lot. Next one, just to keep some safety regulations. You want to be next? Good. Thank you, ma'am. You passed the test. Thanks. Thereafter, it would be you. Okay. After her, it would be you. Okay. Hopefully, you have a unique and unified number opinion. Okay, thanks. Next is you. You want to be next? Perfect. Thanks a lot. After you. Thanks for this. So there's no prioritization, just randomly, okay? Thank you, take care of the tables. Shall I help you? Okay, good. Then this line should come up. You're from one country, right? So it's 3-1. Yeah, you will introduce her immediately. I'm not biting, as my teacher always told me, and I'm smelling good. So there's no reason to step away from me. So if you would go after her. There's no right and wrong. Okay, thanks. Put the rest, the trash here. You can. Next. You don't have dots. Oh, sorry for this. Tell me where should I? Yeah, put a dot. Tell me where should I put it? Okay, where else? Packaging, yes. And the third dot you can use. Raw material or quality or access to finance. Okay. Thanks a lot. No, thank you. Sorry. So we have two new participants. You want to introduce yourself, your name, company, and product in brief. Before you move, just your name, your company, and your product. Good. Yes.
I'm Rosemary Winter, Director and CEO, founder of Great Global Traders and Contractors Company Limited.
Okay.
which is also an exporter of avocado oils, crude avocado oils. And there are some samples, 2 samples there.
Good.
And also fresh fruits, avocados. European countries, but we are starting now to export. We are starting now.
Okay, so you will substitute Ukraine. That is great. Topic. You know that we don't have any sunflower oil in our shops. You know sunflower oil? Yes, you know. We don't have it. It's empty. Because we have one supplier, all from Ukraine. It's the Netherlands, it's Germany, one of the richest countries. We don't have sunflower oil for the moment. I was very well aware when COVID started, we had another shortage. What was our shortage in Germany when COVID started? Yes, toilet paper. No, because Germans were afraid that something happens. The Germans are afraid they buy toilet paper first. It is a German habit. I told you there was a time I had to order toilet paper from Amazon because there was nothing. People came with 5, 6 packages as soon as there was something. Crazy. Okay, thanks a lot. You want to introduce yourself or same company or different?
Yeah, same.
Okay, so then please, you have 3 dots. We would appreciate if you put the dots. Where do you see the biggest challenge for you? Market access, packaging, quality, raw and consistent supply, new products, or access to finance. Or you can tell me where I should put a dot for you. What is, by your perspective, the most...
The first challenge.
Yeah, the biggest challenge.
The biggest challenge is access to finance.
Good.
For SME women, especially in Kenya.
Okay, got you. I just remembered. Yes, okay, thanks. Second biggest challenge.
Second biggest challenge is consistency of raw material supply.
Got you. Third topic. Third important.
The third one is quality certifications.
Good.
Very expensive.
Yes, this is unfortunately right. Is there anyone here in the room who produced something who didn't vote? Who didn't vote?
I've not voted.
I vote for you.
Thank you for assisting me.
My pleasure. So, what we can see here is access to finance is a major issue for shea butter, for moringa, avocado, yes. So that means for the cluster topic, we can sit together because we all have the same issue. Great. New products, okay, no surprise. If I see all these lovely products, I guess this is not a surprise. Packaging, I like. It's 5 who said it's an issue. Market access, yes, that's the reason why we have Biafra. That's a good confirmation. Otherwise, David, we would have switched off, but luckily we can keep it. So, certification is a topic. Raw material supply, it's interesting. For shea butter. Access to finance, there's a 10 and only 1. So this means for the weekend it's just a rough voting, but we can see here some pattern is that for over the next months in Western Africa, we should focus on market access. That's what we are already doing, but I guess we can even do it a bit more. Packaging, raw material, especially for shea butter. I guess the issue is that you have to get raw material from Uganda, right? So that is. Wow! How you make this? No. Did you realize that they vote in my bag? Okay. Okay, I'm really impressed right now. I'm a bit shocked. So, okay, market access, raw material, access to finance. Which product is it? Joe, can you demute and explain a bit why you selected market access, quality certification, raw material, and access to finance? And especially what product category you represent? Or Frank? Okay, so then, Joe? Is it possible? Do you want to talk to us? I want to talk to you? Okay, might be. Can you demute? Otherwise, we really appreciate your voting. He's typing. Oh, he's typing, okay. Good. So what I meant is, as far as understood, let's focus on these activities. Market access, as I said, this is what we are already doing. We don't need to consider this now. Packaging is a topic. Raw material might be those who put a dot here. Yes, we know the shea butter producers. You have to source from Uganda. You know that in the shea butter cluster, we have Ugandan companies. So what we can do, we can bring you together. Unfortunately, I couldn't be here today because of the physical meeting. So if you are seriously considering, say, oh, I have to do something different with my shea kernel or shea butter supply, a typical activity within the shea butter cluster is let's bring the raw material producer together with you that you can see, is there a better chance to get raw material? Yeah, for example, we have Pelero, they produce raw material. Might be that's an option that you reconsider that you have a second source, or you can reconsider. Some of you was working with traders. Might be it makes sense to have direct. So I'm happy to, or we can be happy as a consequence of today's meeting, bring the shea butter producer or the producers with raw material producers together. Let's see whether you can make a deal. Then it is already a success, or at least it could be a topic. Avocado, can you please, because I'm not that much experienced, what is the issue for avocado producer when it comes to raw material? Is it availability? Is it consistency? Can you help us a bit, whoever put the dots here?
One of the challenges in accessing consistency in raw materials is the demand, especially for fresh fruits. In the international market, the demand is quite high, and Kenya being one of, I think it is the first African country that is contributing to the supply of international market. The exporters and the farmers, they tend to go for the field that is planted by the farmers. We are competing.
So they take it away, and you don't have avocado anymore.
Yes, and being in this industry for long, we need to do advocacy and trainings to small-scale farmers, because when their land is put together as small-scale farmers, we'll be able to produce enough. And we train them to produce quality from input of seedlings, quality seedlings, to all the way to producing the fresh fruit for the international market. And what is not needed for the international market, we can use it for production of oil. So to substitute it to the large scale farmers, because large scale farmers are very few, we need to come up with a strategy. How can we advocate for more small scale farmers to plant more? And this can only be done by those who have the knowledge about the avocados. And of course, with the trainings now you're giving to us as members of Investors in Africa, we'll be able to have enough supply.
Okay.
Enough supply to the international market and also for the local market.
Okay.
So.
Got you. Good.
There is that challenge.
Yeah, okay.
And the demand is quite high.
Good. Even I understood this. Thanks for being so clear. Thank you. Packaging. Is it the quality, the price, the availability? What bothers you in terms of packaging?
The packaging they are not locally available. Because what is locally available, talking on behalf of Moringa, we're used to local packaging which were banned, the plastics, whether the bottles or the bags. Now you go for the recyclable one, you either go for glass and they're too expensive. So you find a product that was supposed to cost 100 shilling, the packaging is costing another 100. So the whole cost goes to the consumer. It becomes hard. Yeah.
Okay. Other experiences? Yes, please.
Packaging machines. Yeah, for example, for us to have voluminous kind of packaging, we need some packaging machines
that you do your own packaging. Okay.
Because most of the times we are growing and we are taking it to somebody else to package for us.
Yeah.
We are incurring a lot of costs in between. So, like us now, we need packaging machine.
Okay, in-house.
Yes, just aside. So that when you grow into the process, it's packaged there.
Okay.
Then we can now deliver. Yeah, like this machine will seal and fill. Yeah, fill and
in a high quality.
Yeah.
A high quality. And that stands for sachets.
Yeah.
Packaging sachets.
Okay.
Just to add on what you said, and also say that it doesn't compost, it's horrible waste that people will not recycle plastic. So it's not sustainable.
So you said you would like to move to an alternative to plastic?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. You said it has to be machinery. So what we can do just to turn this demand into something practical is what we can do, because we just should discuss what we can do within our cluster project to help you. Do you like this package? Is it professional?
Yes, but it has contradictions.
For example?
It's not wanted by the government. Plastic.
You like the package? Okay.
It's challenge.
Is it appealing for you?
It's appealing to me, but it has its own challenges. The government of Kenya has banned plastic packaging, and the bottle is plastic, and the lid is also plastic. When you put this, let's say you buy this water packaged in this kind of a plastic bottle, or whatever design it is, you put it in your car, and you want to go shipping a little bit of it. When this lid, it do react with the sunlight, and it has caused cancer to people in our country. And one of our prominent ladies in the government, she spoke about it, accusing to President Uhuru, as he said she got cancer because she used to drink water when she has kept it too long in the car. This is reacting with the sun rays and producing a chemical which now goes to the water and take it.
Okay, can you switch off light that we can drink it? Okay. What we can do is, and what could be an idea is that we take your product, your package, and discuss with experts how we can improve. Tell the truth, it's not the most appealing bottle I've ever seen. This is my opinion. So I guess what we can do is, if you're interested, we take your package and we discuss, does it appear attractive? Is it attractive price-wise? Does it reflect your product? And we have some, I guess, colleagues from Western Africa, we have some packaging experts who can sit down with you and can discuss how we can improve. Other material, alternative plastic, alternative material, sorry, it can be an option. Yeah, that means if you have alternative packaging, you have to calculate how much it is. We can use plastic, make it nicer. We can discuss, okay, how much volume you need to have a packaging machine worse. We can also say, okay, it is expensive. Might be we have different packages. I just make it up. Just an idea. They can be very similar. Can be pulled together to get a better price. You produce 1,000, you produce 1,000. Can we go to a packaging company and say, give us a good price for 2,000, similar? So I guess that is how we can bundle, or 5,000, 10,000. Say, okay, can we improve price-wise, or from the appearance, or from the packaging material? Because you are not expert, and you don't need to be expert, because you are a natural manufacturing producer. You are not packaging expert. And I believe you can see here, several of you have similar issues. Might be even some other as well. So I would love to use the next weeks and months to have some, not coaching. We sit down and evaluate how happy we are with the package and where we want to see improvement, price-wise, appearance, or whatever. I guess that can be interesting for some of you, and you can see here very different variety of plastic. Thank you. And of packaging. There might be some of you are interested to move from plastic to glass. We have some competences here in the team. So I would like to use it as a part of our upcoming cluster work to stress this topic, because practice show here we can do something. Yeah. Access to finance, yes, we can do something, but it is of course challenging. Yeah. Here, I mean, it's the end of the project. 50% of you said we have better package, cheaper, same quality, better appearance. Great success. And we see here some of the package for me are a bit more advanced. Others are with a good material. Others might be some room for improvement. I guess we can discuss this in a very focused way. Agreement? Yeah? Okay, so please. Yes?
I just like to point out that similarly with the plastic,
yeah.
I use glass packaging in my and as much as you might be able to find it, it also has its challenges in terms of availability, because it's not made locally.
Where it's coming from?
Egypt, China, wherever, but a lot of the time you might be using one particular jar and find that for a month or two it's out of stock.
Good.
Because there's an issue at the port or with supplies and it's not
Got you.
available.
So then again, if I look at these products, if we bundle similar, we have a much better purchasing power.
But I can't tie up my money in packaging that may sit there for a long time just to get volume. When I could do other things with that money, like even sauce for them. Because the packaging might be able to change a little bit, but having the jars and not being able to get the other materials might be a challenge, because we are still primarily small businesses.
Yes, but the idea is if we have a bigger purchasing order, supplier will treat you more seriously. So I mean, if I'm a Chinese producer, if you order 100 bottles, I will put you very low in my priority. If you order 10,000 bottles, I put you higher in my priority. That might be some ideas.
Oh, but we are not importing ourselves, we are finding them from a supplier here.
Also, to cut off the supply.
Yeah, in general. So what we can see from practice, as more you produce, as higher likeliness is that you get served, especially in times of not sufficient supply. And that's just an idea, not decision today, but this, and we might come up with just with alternative packaging material. I mean, we are all green and sustainable, blah blah blah. But you're right, many is still packaging. Can we meet with experts who give us new ideas we didn't come up with?
Yes, still on packaging, you can slash it with branding.
Yeah.
Proper branding also.
So
sometimes, or maybe when we would wish, when I'm shipping I'm ordering my packaging material, and they come branded to cut the costs down. Because they come, I still do another branding.
Yeah. Especially if you also want to be sustainable, if you choose switch from plastic to something else, you can put also in your transparency strategy, and it becomes a circle.
I just want to comment on the packaging. What I've noticed in the avocado processing, especially the oils. The only company that has succeeded in Kenya in packaging good quality materials for packaging the oils is only one. And the reason why they have succeeded so much is because that company has partnered with other investors, companies in Netherlands. I think they are in Netherlands, Germany. And when they produce that oil, it is, they have varieties of avocado oils, even for cooking, for salads. And they have succeeded so much to sell their oil packaged in very quality bottles, but they are manufactured, I think they are manufactured out there. Then they are sent here because they have other companies abroad. And the bottles are, the packaging materials are also branded. And that's the only company I know in Kenya has succeeded in selling all over the world quality avocado oils. Now, us just SMEs, and especially SMEs, especially women and all small scale, what can I call ourselves? We are like startups, we are like, we cannot manage to compete with such companies. And let me tell you, this company, they have about 5,000 farmers in Kenya. They have contracted about 5,000 farmers. And they are collecting all the raw materials and making the oils and also selling the fresh fruits there. And we cannot compete with them. Reason? They make sure their packaging materials is done by their other companies in abroad. And they send those materials here. So how are we going to compete as SMEs with such big fish and we don't have partners who can come and give us that boost so that we can scale up? So we still need investors. And how do we access financing so that we can have maybe investors who can come and boost us, and now they can be branding maybe those packaging materials and bringing them to us in here. And we partner to make the packaging and the market also very, very available.
Let's move to Norway. I will give you an example how it can work. Norway, you know, this island, this country where there's always snow. There's half a year it's dark, nobody want to be there. But there's a very cool tourism destination called Tromsø. You have no need to hear about it. And there were a lot of small and medium tourist operators. And they were sitting in rooms that nobody's traveling to us because there's no direct flight, nobody comes to us. We cannot do anything. These companies, these tourist providers bundled. And these tourist providers said, okay, they went to Lufthansa. That we assure 10,000 tickets paid by us if you fly directly from Frankfurt to Tromsø. Everyone said, I contribute with 50 overnight stands. 50, 50, 50, 50. Suddenly you have 5,000. They went to Lufthansa and said, we guarantee that we pay 5,000 tickets if you fly. Half years later, they flew and it's still a connection. So what I mean is you're fully right. That's the reason why we are clustering. Let's see our demand and let's see if we bundle these demands, it becomes attractive for investors, for other companies. In Western Africa is internationally well positioned. Tanzania, Uganda, whatever. Might be we will find another producer of plastic who said, yes, okay, if you talk about these numbers, interesting. I cannot promise anything, but that could be a way. If we bundle our competences and the demands with packaging, let's see what happens. Even if we get better supply, even if we get our packaging 20% cheaper, I guess it's a success you would never succeed doing alone. And again, if I see these products, I would say we can agree in 5 different forms of products. Different colors, different batches, yeah, but very similar. Why not to try? And today we are just a bit, we are not all companies of the Invest in Africa project. And I know that all the Ugandan have the same issue. And then we talk about some numbers of packaging, it might become interesting. Yeah. So I see your point, but we have to pull together. Might be that as a solution. So, comment. Long comment. Okay, accessing raw material while a company is not in a position to visit those physically is a tall order for entrance. Yes, accessing funding as a new entrant when not having been able to sell to any client is quite difficult. Got you. So, getting quality certification by sourcing from aggregated small farmers is very challenging, yes. And the same applies to sourcing of raw material from aggregated small, yes. I'm Joseph Kamau Yiti, a director of Ratia Agro Farm, which is exporting fresh products based on avocado. So the secret is solved. Okay, welcome to the club. Okay, so I propose that over the next months and weeks, we will can deal a bit with the packaging. Access to finance. David or Felicia, do you have some ideas in mind? I guess there's something what you will offer as well. Yeah, do you want to disclose a bit or?
Yeah, we can just mention that for access to markets, we actually try to have, like the way we have GAD, Trade Africa working with us, we're also working to get also another consultant who will teach us on how do you package your products. We'll also be doing where do you get new markets and how do you do new markets. The other one with access to finance is also going to work with another consultant that we work with our Mastercard project. I'm sure Rosemary was also part of that project. Access to finance, we're working on different types of financing. What do you need apart from the bank? So there's also another way of accessing finance with investors, different kind of funding. So I think what you've gone ahead with is introduce Lens of Nature to one of our consultants who's actually working on that currently, because that is our priority as of now, and it's something that should actually increase urgency. So what we have gone ahead with is to introduce a few people that, this is critical, it's urgent. But yes, it's something that we should be able to do before we complete the project.
Thanks, Lisa. Perfect. So my question is, when it comes to access to finance, do you feel fully prepared to talk to banks? Is it an issue to find the right banks? So what is the main issue when it comes to access to finance? Or is it the amount you need nobody cares about? So who feels ready for, who is bankable or ready for investors? Have all the accountings file, all papers? Who would say, yes, if an investor comes tomorrow, I'm ready to present everything? You?
Just to mention something, I've been, we have a problem in Kenya because of gender issues. I'm a woman, I'm married, but according to some of these people may be a bit young, but this is, I'm talking out of experience. Us who are older generation a bit, what I mean is if you're above 60, like me, to access finance from the banks, you'll be asked to provide collateral, security. And if I go to my husband, because in the African culture where I come from, men believe land is theirs. Whatever property they say it's my property, and they may not give you that land title to take to the bank to secure a loan. So it becomes very difficult for an African woman, and where this culture is still taking place. It becomes very difficult for us as women in Kenya to do business with the banks because we cannot access finance. I've gone to banks trying to get just some little money to pay the farmers, but I can't.
Okay, good.
Because they asked me for a title deed, or what do you offer for us to give you security? Until I've gone to a position of how can I access finance, because I have big ideas, very innovative ideas, but I have to look for funding from outside. And they asked me to write a proposal. I do it.
Just can we shorten it? I got your point.
Okay, what I'm saying is, I've already gotten a financier, but the financier is also asking me, can you provide a contract with a buyer? With a buyer, so that we can now finance you. So what I need right now to access finance is just a good buyer, international market, which is not easy to access because I don't know them.
Okay, but this is also what we have here, market access. Okay, thanks. Let's give the others a chance, please, also to comment. You and then you.
Okay, so I've got, I'm a former banker, so I understand what she's saying, and it's a huge problem in Kenya. You've got all these monies which are being given to women and secured lending, blah, 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 blah. When you try to access them, you find bottlenecks wherever you go, and this is not even a collateral issue. They start taking you round and round and round until you find you can't actually get the money. So finally they tell you, maybe if you secure the facility, then we can give it to you. Then there's the business of them not understanding, because if I want to grow, you can't use my past record to give me a facility. It will not be sufficient. So, okay, projections, and then they'll take you round and round again. Then there's the issue of investors. Because you meet investors who are interested in your project. You look like you've got a very nice product, but let's look at your finances. And they tell you they want to see a minimum of 2.5 million a month. That's like $250,000 a year for them to be able to give you money. So you're sort of stuck wherever you go, and there's nobody who wants to take you from this point to this point where you get that 2.5 million, then you can access the bigger tickets.
One and then.
I feel like the same thing on borrows, the snake that eats itself. So you're stuck in the cycle. You're trying to find finance to get a bigger market, but then when you go and ask finance, as she said, they're telling you need a certain amount of money. So another thing is with their suggestion is you asked if we are ready, you are an investor came tomorrow. I also joined this so that I can learn how to prepare my documentation correctly. how, so that you're attractive to investors or someone, because personally, the bank to me is not major. I don't think most of us would be able to get.
No, it's not like thing. If an organization like Invest in Africa, for example, deliberately looked at all the pitfalls in accessing unsecured funds from the bank, and you had a candid conversation with them and tell them, this is what our babies are going through, and if you can unlock that, I think for me that would be a really interesting.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way to go. Yes.
I'd like to point out that I don't think it's necessarily, it's there, I agree, as a corporate banker also that it's a gender issue. It's also a risk issue. Because at the end of the day, there's the element of what is the return on the risk of giving this money, knowing that there are so many factors that can undermine the outcome of this process. You see, the government cannot not offer a service, and then you can only use banks because they have the infrastructure to actually get that out there. And a lot of the time, the requirements for the government and the requirements for the bank are not the same. The bank adds its own requirements to create those bottlenecks. My suggestion is cultivate a relationship with SACCOs, because then the security has already been set up in the relationship with the. A lot of the time, the relationship with the institution has more value than whatever security you will provide. Whether it's shares and whether it's a track record of small borrowing, and because there are many women out there who are accessing funds without having to go to any of the tiered banks. The options are there. I think we just need to look for them. Sometimes if you're operating in a county, go find the example that's operating in that county and cultivate a relationship with them, because then you're able to have a situation where those people know what the lay of the land at the grassroots level is. They know where that farm is, they know the owner, they know the product. There is a relationship that is more intimate than if you go to a tiered bank that says, oh, okay, show us on the map where this farm exists. I think that sometimes we also limit ourselves because we want to operate within a very structured space when there are alternatives available. I'm not saying it's easy, I'm just saying, like, let's try and look at those options.
But SACCOs will also ask you for collateral.
Yeah, but there's a different way of establishing that collateral, like with share and with a track record. My comment.
Does it need to have gender? Yes. Let's give the voice. Sorry, I heard so many about gender equality. Now we have it turned around. Us as minority. So let's first you and then you. And then of course you can come up.
I think the main issue is in the infrastructure of accessing finance. And if you look at the environment here in Kenya and also let's say Africa, the environment for access to finance is hectic and it's a big challenge. For example, if you look in the US, how fast is it? And even if you check on Forbes, all these environments for growth, let's look at, you hear guys getting pre-seed money, about $1 million. What's the infrastructure towards that? This is just an idea, no product, nothing at all. It's just an idea. And the guys are getting $1 million funding. Or six, for example. You see? So what maybe a topic would be what goes behind those getting ready towards that. Maybe we need pre-seed, seed investment, series A, B, C, what goes into that. So that we are able now to demystify, it's not just the banks, but there are other institutions that are ready to make that risk. Because, yeah, I walk into a bank, they just look at me, they're just a young person, it's risky for you.
Okay, woman, young man, any other handicapped group for financing?
It doesn't happen. Yeah. And also the family, maybe even the family, from like I'll tell you, from the idea, it's not even easy to tell your father, hey, I have this idea and I don't want to go into the formal setup of getting employed. This is my thing. How many of them will support you in terms of their own cash?
If you would be my son, you have to become employee. Don't take the risk of entrepreneur. Take care of you, me as a father. I got your point. Okay, good.
Well, me, I would say 80% of women in Kenya actually agricultural production producers. And I see the danger they have when it comes to access to financing. Because many who come in to give them financing, actually they rob them, kind of. I let me use the word rob, but excuse me please for using it. Because I've seen in the rural area, I'm talking in the rural area. Most of you are in Nairobi, but I'm talking in the rural area. They go there, they get the funding, yes, but in the end, there is no value, or they don't make anything good out of the funding they have been given by the middle. The banking is impossible because of the rate of interest. Yeah. But I have seen NGOs who support these local projects. I've seen some kind of growth.
Yeah. So
when it comes to there's somebody who talked about I think that lady, I am sorry for you.
That's okay.
There is also the political element. You may find that when we compare the politics and the credits and whatever, there is a Weather Fund, there are so many funding that the women fund, but they are so much connected to the politics. And you know, the politics and the production, these are two separate entities. Politicians, they want to tell you, I'm giving you money, but in the real sense is not the question of wanting to develop you. He's looking for something from the very women. So the women are just kind of what can I say? They have been just like that, and they lose a lot because all the same, the person who is starting them is not going to help them any further, other than that very time he has got the labels. So they are totally disadvantaged. I look at the issue of market and the producer. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
If the market is clear and the producer is here, the manufacturer, if we link the market with the producer, then the market and the producer can create an avenue for their financing in a very better way than any other way. Okay. The best way I see, according to me. The market, if the market access is clear, then the finance should not be a problem.
Good. So I'm happy just to sum up, because it's another nice evidence that regardless whether you produce shea oil or moringa oil, shea butter, we have the same problem. Young men, old men, women, married, not married, whatever. So that means we will focus on this topic, and I'm happy that we have the experts there. And Felicia also wants me to tell me something that.
The discussion on financing, the amount that will be given to men is when the same discussion is, the amount is
for men also higher. Okay, good.
And the other is
my financing is similar. Okay, good. So you can see just one short comment, because I slowly want to come to the end. Thanks, Felicia.
See, this is what has started business. I would have asked, this training, why are we being trained? And invest in Africa, together with the Antaja Africa, and together with those who are training us. Our biggest challenge, despite we are the big contributor to economic growth as SMEs. We contribute to the economic growth of this country, even in Africa. The SMEs, we are the big contributor to the growth of economy. But we come to such trainings. Me, I've gone to so many trainings. I've been trained by even international ITC Trade Center. here in Strathmore. But our biggest challenge, if we are going to I would ask in the West Africa people who are training us, can you help us get access to finance and all our problems, market, whatever it is?
So, to make that one thing very, very clear, please. I'm far away to want to train something because I have the feeling you are trained. And our cluster work, when it comes to transparency, when it comes to raw material, when it comes to packaging, we don't even believe that we can train you. We want to bring you together with others to solve the problems. Very, very clear. For me, there's, as you said, there's enough training. There was too much training. You are all well prepared. Now let's get things done. Bring you in contact with the right one, bundle capacities and competences. Bring you in contact with the right people. You know how to deal with it. Not a German has to come to teach you. Far away from that. Access to finance, as you said, we have to find with Invest in Africa, with the German government behind, we might find other financing partners you have not even dreamt about. So that is our task. I'm not teaching anymore. I'm not going to developing countries. You have entrepreneurs here, different success rate. Let's do something together. That is a clustering. Forget the word, correct me, training. I guess there's just a little bit training. Let's have something done together. And I guess these 2 hours with you were very entertaining. And we have to bring the right people together and bundle and cooperate to gain critical mass in all these topics. And that was the purpose of today. And we can see that avocado and moringa have similar issues. And let's work on this the next half a year, quarter of a year in this regard. Okay, but please, I'm not training anyone. You are too good to be trained. Okay? Thanks a lot. And I would like to hand over to West Africa colleagues. So that means we have an action plan. Yeah, we have shea butter, bring you together with Ugandan. Here, this is what the colleagues will follow up. Raw material we discussed. Let's have some packaging dialogues where we are sitting together physically, see what we can do different. And let's have fun the next until August, the project 1. Thanks a lot for this good discussion, for this entertaining feedback, and for making our last 2-3 hours very easy. Thanks a lot, and you are not competing, you have the same interest.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Breakout session, application in our companies.
Transparency and traceability, application of the session. Application of the session with transparency and traceability.
Just 2 minutes discussion.
Or shall we discuss next steps? Shall we have 1 second and discuss?
Let's have a 5 minutes break. Someone who would have to do a smoke or whatever, we just have to align our or call your bank. I learned today. Yeah.